Oh, leave it alone, bird. Look at him. Playing around with my lure. Well, things started to heat up at Mission, but then the carp started splashing around. And whenever I start seeing carp splash around, making their nests, protecting their nests, I know that the fishing is just cut off. So I just forget it. Kind of enjoyed rowing around at Mission, and just gonna have to wait till the carp are done. Maybe I'll go back out there next week. But I finally broke the curse of Minto Brown. Well, I don't know if it's cursed, but starting to figure things out, and things are starting to warm up and get better at Minto Brown. I caught 2 largemouth. The odd thing is, I got there at 10 o'clock in the morning, and I fished up to 3 in the afternoon. Not so much as a bite. Even tried the bobber. The bobber didn't even move. Nothing from 10 to 3. And shortly after 3 o'clock, finally, I was in a back area. Now, what I'm going to call the three sections of Minto Brown. The main section at the end of the main entrance, all the way to the end. That parking lot, I think they call it parking lot 3. That's where you get out and you can unload at the first part of the slough. You can unload there, just past the porta potties, and where they have like this gazebo. You can see this opening on the right hand side of the grass, and you get the trees, and you got this little opening between the trees and the gravel. Looks like a gravel driveway, and that leads you to the first part, and that's where you can unload at, be it a tube or a kayak. That's the first section. The second section is once you get underneath the footbridge, and there's section 2, and you can still do that in the kayak. The tube, you might have to get out and kind of stroll a bit to pull the tube through, but that's the second section, just south of the footbridge. And then the third section is when you get to the end of that, and you get to that narrow channel, and then you get to this long part of the slough. That's actually where the 2 creeks converge and come into Minto Brown, into that area. John Petty Creek, and then there's another creek, I can't think of its name, but they basically converge and then come into the third section there. I was in that third section, back in this little, like you go that way, you can go, when you come out through that channel, you go to the right, you can go all the way to where Homestead is, where you can unload at Homestead, and you can go left, and there's this little narrow back area, and believe it or not, it's still like 10 feet deep back in there. It doesn't look like it is. It looks like it may be a foot or 2, but it's 10 feet deep there. I mean, it just drops, and there's sheer drops. Finally, my bobber moved, went sideways, and the little guy took a hold of, and I was using the fake bait, gulp, and it's a little red worm, a fake bait. I just put it on the hook, put it on the bobber, and like I said, the little guy grabbed a hold of it and took it sideways, but he's just a little guy. He probably wasn't even big enough to get the hook in his mouth. But there, I had some activity, finally, at Minto Brown. And then I went through the channel, went into section 2, and I thought, well, I'll rig in a weightless Senko. I won't put a weight on there because the Senko's heavy enough. And I tossed it into these weeds, and a very subtle weight. And sure enough, boom, a largemouth. Finally caught a largemouth at Minto Brown after all these years. And he just tore my 5.5-inch Senko, just tore it up. You know? I mean, you would think it'd be like a hard hit, but like I said, it was just a very subtle grab, you know. So I finally reeled one in. Whoop-de-doo, you know, finally, I'm able to catch something at Minto Brown. And then I go back underneath the footbridge, go to section 1, and I change over to a little 16th ounce weedless Ned rig that I got at Tackle Warehouse. and probably too light for my bait caster. But anyway, and I put a little two-legged trailer on there that I use for my jigs, but I just put it by itself on this Ned rig hook, and I toss it into the weeds. Basically, you could see where there's a channel, either the ducks or the fish, or maybe there's a little channel in the weeds. And one guy was in a tube, and he was fishing the other side where the tree falls were, and he said the only thing he got was an oversized bluegill. And I toss, well, I'm on the other side there, and I toss in those weeds, and boom, second largemouth I caught. This one was a lot, he really grabbed that lure. He really wanted that. And I don't have a picture of that lure, or that bait, I should say. I should, but I'll get a picture of it, or at least I'll put it in the description anyway. And second largemouth I caught. When I went to Minto Brown, the water temperature was only 66. At 3:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, it was up to 74, and that's when the action started. The water temperature finally started to warm up, and the bass started to get a little more active. So Minto Brown is still, I'm gonna crack that one. I'm gonna catch bass there. I caught 2, like I said, but I'm gonna really start hitting it and try some more lures. And speaking of such, I went to Bass Pro Shop to get the fake bait, those red worms I mentioned, because they were the only ones that had it. And while I was getting that, I thought, well, I'll just check the swim bait. And I went to swim baits, and I don't know, this it looked like a neat little swim bait, and I thought, well, that looks like it's pretty good. But what I didn't realize is that these came out last year, and I guess they became the in thing. So much so that this sleeper gill at Bass Pro Shop in the pumpkin seed, you can't get it at Bass Pro Shop. It's like I got the last one. I didn't know. I just ordered it. I didn't pay attention. And then when I went back, after I caught a bass at Mission with this, it's weedless in the sense that the hook is in the dorsal fin, and the upper half of the fish is hollow bodied, and it allows that body to smash down to expose the hook. And it was reasonably weedless at Mission, and boy, you talk about testing weedless, Mission would be a place to do it. I just cast it over the submerged tree to kind of test it to see how well it does in really tight cover, and I just kind of pulled it over that submerged tree and let it fall down the other side, and boy, that tail was kicking even during the fall. This is a 3/4 ounce, it's pretty heavy. But during the fall, I'm gonna go throwing it around. During the fall, it was going down, I saw a dark shadow, and boom, it took and held on to that lure. So much so it was like, oh, I've got you, is what I got to say, and then I set the hook. It just went over the top of the tree, and this dark shadow came, grabbed it, and it was like 3.5 pound largemouth with this. That was not one of the pumpkin seed. And so I went back to Bass Pro Shop when I got home to see get another one. Because the one I got, I was trying to pull the weeds off of this right here, pinching it off, and I pinched too much, and I actually pinched the veneer right off. So the veneer is starting to peel off of this guy already. So I wanted to get another one, and you couldn't get them at Bass Pro Shops anymore. Not only do the other colors not in stock, but this color was removed from their website altogether, the pumpkin seed. So I thought, well, I'll go to Tackle Warehouse and see if I can get it there. Tackle Warehouse had every color and 10 plus of every color. So I got 2 more of these in the pumpkin seed because I know it works, at least at Mission anyway. And then I went ahead and got 2 others. One that looks kind of like a perch, and another one that kind of looks like, they call it the brownie. And this one was called, the perch looking one is called the glitter Noike gill, N-O-I-K-E, whatever a Noike is. Looks like a perch to me. and I saw perch at Minto Brown. He actually went after, the perch went after this. Just a little guy. There's no way the hook would even fit in his mouth. But so anyway, I got this perch, and then I got this brownie. Look, to me, it looks like a baby bass, a largemouth. That's what it looks like to me. But those are the three things I got. Try them out at both at Minto Brown, the river, and Mission. Like I said, I've already tried the Mission on this one, and it worked. These things are $6 a piece, so you're bank fishing, boy, make sure you don't fish in too heavy of cover, because I mean the hook is protected with the dorsal fin a little bit, but I wouldn't trust it a lot of it. Because it could very easily snag on a submerged tree or a limb. But as far as the real thin grass, yeah, it goes right through it. It doesn't have a problem. But I also got at Taco Warehouse, I was looking for a different kind of topwater, because I had topwater frogs. And I saw this topwater, live target, the Sunfish. I got it at Taco Warehouse, of course, and no, I'm not being endorsed by Taco Warehouse, even though I'm wearing a shirt and the hat. I'm not endorsed by them. Anyway, live target. It's supposed to simulate a dying sunfish on the surface, and you know, the really crazy thing about this, when I got it out of the box, I noticed here on the side that they have like where sunfish are located in North America. Wow, that's pretty cool information to have if you don't really know if this lure is going to work where you fish. And it's a sunfish. Do you have sunfish where you live? You look at this little map here, the information on there, and you can see whether or not sunfish are in your location, or whether or not this lure will even be appealing to your local fish. So I thought that was pretty good information to know. But on top of that, inside the box, and this is something that probably the young viewers wouldn't know about, but back when I was your age, when I was in the 20s or 30s, when you bought something, it came with an instruction manual. This lure comes with an instruction manual. And you know, I mean, I know how to bass fish strictly from watching Bill dance. Back in the early 90s, Bill Dance was on the cable network TNN, Bill Dance Outdoors, and I didn't know anything about fishing, didn't know a thing, and I just watched Bill Dance, and he taught me everything I know, you know, and about, you know, what lures to use, how to use it, where to use it, what time to use it. Bill Dance, I don't know, I haven't had cable now in almost 30 years, but I don't know if TNN still works. I don't know if Bill is even on TNN anymore. But I do know that Mr. Dance is on YouTube. So if you're new to fishing and you don't know how to fish lures, watch Bill Dance, because he will show you everything. He tells you what the water temp he's at, what line he's using, what rod, reel, how he's using it, how to tie it on. It's everything you need to know about bass fishing. You know, where the bass are at this time, where the bass are at this kind of a lake, you know, or at this time of day and stuff like that. Bill Dance will definitely give you all the information you need to know when it comes to fishing for largemouth. But if the Rapellas and other lures that I bought would have came with instruction manuals like this one did, I mean, I probably wouldn't have needed Bill Dance as much as I did. You know, because I didn't know how to use a crankbait, or where to use a crankbait, or you know, do you tie them directly on, can you use snap swivels, and blah blah blah. You know, I didn't know the first thing about fishing. You know, but here as an instruction manual for this lure from Live Target, that not only gives you information as far as the fish that it's simulating is whether or not it's in the area that you live, but also how to the two different ways of fishing this. And they said it's either hopping it or literally kind of swimming it, and it tells you how to do it, how to move your rod tip and where to reel it in and all that kind of stuff. but I thought it was kind of neat. It's kind of curved, something just a little different, you know, other than a frog. You know, maybe this will work more towards the middle of any time of the day, whereas a frog is more like, you know, in the mornings and stuff, I've noticed. Yeah, I thought, oh, I'm gonna give that a try. But I was just tickled pink, so I just wanted to make this little video showing live target lure, because I was I was just, wow, instructions on how to use a lure. That's amazing, absolutely amazing. But well, I'm gonna go. The carp are splashing around at missions, like I said, so it's pointless to go to mission this week, the week of June. And I'm going to go try next week around the 20th and stuff like that, and see if the carp are done. And if they are done, then the fish will come back into action, because I think when that carp are really splashing around, they're chasing the fish, and the fish go underneath the weeds. You know, the weeds are really thick, and they just kind of go underneath that thick canopy and just hide from the carp until the carp are done doing their thing with their spawning. And then I'm going to go back to mission. In the meantime, I think I might try and go back to Minto Brown. I'm not sure about this week, but next week I'll go back to Minto Brown, and I'm going to try, you know, these lures, of course. I don't have much faith in them for Minto Brown, because I think Minto Brown's pretty tough. But the Cinco worked, and the weedless little creature thing worked. So there we go. Hopefully I'll be making a video with me being successful at Minto Brown instead of just showing you pictures. Maybe the next time I'll be able to make a video of it. But there we go, folks. Catch you next time.